Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen up, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to be reviewing the market conditions, generally speaking. Super excited about that because they have looked very solid recently. And to be honest, I cannot wait for altcoin season to finally be here, which I believe we are much closer than further away. I do believe probably summer, maybe end of summer to beginning of early fall is when we will have our first peak. Now, of course, that is based off of a few things. For me, the number one thing that I am basing it off of is the timing of the candles, right? So pretty much right now, ladies and gentlemen, or let's just go back actually for a second. So back in October, November, December, we had new pumps. Okay, we had nice highs. January, February, March was, all-time high and a pullback, pretty much a retest off of these highs to continue going up higher. Now, I did say April will most likely be a little bit of a pull down in the beginning, but then we will continue pushing up higher and higher. And I still believe that is going to be the case. I do not see Bitcoin going below $74,500 at this point. There are, still things that could happen in terms of pullbacks, like getting back down to 80,000 for bigger retests. But overall, I do believe the worst days are ahead of us. And, pretty much April, May, June, I believe, are going to be the recovery candles of, reclaiming some of the key areas that we lost, like the $92,000 area, and then eventually contesting these areas and highs up here of $105,000, right? So that is what I believe that this 3 month candle's purpose is going to be. Now, worst case scenario, I think it's going to be that, but maybe we won't go as high as 105,000. But generally, that is what I believe. I do not believe we will be consolidating for roughly 7.5 months like we were last time, reclaiming these all-time highs, making them turn into a roof, and then going from a roof to a floor, right? I think that's why it took so long, is because we had to make sure that these highs have enough structure so that we are able to push up. We did get a little bit of correction, but that's fine. That's better actually for the long term. So I do believe we will be pumping generally the next 6 months, creating new all-time highs, 6 to 8 months mark, generally speaking. But like I said, the next 3 month candle, which is now April, May, June, I believe will be recoveries, maybe coming back to all-time highs. But then if that's not the case, then I believe July, August, September will most likely be where we start making new highs and printing very nice highs. This could obviously continue a little bit into October, November before things sell off. But ultimately, that is where I believe we will be getting, our nice highs. So, a couple months away, even when we go and look at something like Bitcoin dominance, we talked about how, 69 to 70% is going to be the main area that we are focusing on, right? If we go and zoom out a little bit, all right, if we go zoom out a little bit like this, actually go look on the weekly, we can see that, last time around there was, big structure here. We sold off, then we went sideways, and then we crashed. And that is kind of what I expect, to happen when Bitcoin dominance goes near the same area. Now, there may be a short-term sell-off once we get to these highs over here. The only reason there might not be is because we already kind of had similar all-time highs, or it's not all-time highs, relevant highs. And we sold off a little bit, but we are basically on track. So we could see something like this where we just kind of go like this, and continue, or we could go up to here, roughly the same amount, crash a little bit lower, retest off of the 63%, maybe a little bit higher than 63%, and then continue higher. I don't believe, we will have a very big, massive pullback back to 62%. I would be really, really surprised about that. Plus, at this point, I don't want to, right? I don't really care if my altcoins go up another 30, 40% from where they are, if it means they're going to be coming back down over the next few weeks to get correction. At this point, I just want it to be closer and closer to altcoin season, because once we are close to altcoin season, and once, things start happening, right, we will start crashing kind of quick. And that is when the big, massive gains happen. Something I do want to talk about, which a lot of people don't, is that when, something like render, right? Something like render, when we pumped for those couple of weeks and we hit roughly $12, right? We can see when we were down all the way at, let's just say $4.40, within a couple of weeks, we hit practically $12. And that was from roughly a 6 to 7% dominance drop, right? So imagine what happens when we go to 70% dominance and we go back down to something like 40%. We will be pumping heavy. Plus, you got to remember the extra pumps because of the narratives. So for something like render, AI narrative and the companies they're with is going to really, really help them. But and the structure itself, right? Whatever structure we have and the narratives and the market cap and the project itself, will boost on top of that. So I'm really, really excited. I'm really, really excited for the altcoin season, right? Bitcoin should be having another rally to the upside. Altcoins should be absolutely flying high. Now, something that I do want to look at, which is not too relevant for us, but I do want to talk about, is practically gold, right? You saw last week how I talked about how, I had my fantastic gold buys from literally all the way down here. All right, I showed proof and everything, making nice money. It's in the Discord as well. And we can see gold is all the way up here. The reason why this is relevant is because the world has been going crazy. Tariffs, uh, country leaders constantly saying this, saying that. It causes things to spike. And even just recently, in terms of news, right, which is very, very good for us. And I'll bring it up right here so you guys can, just listen for yourself. Is that Trump administration says US may buy Bitcoin using tariff revenue. So you can see everything is going crazy. Everything is looking good right now. You can see how fast gold pumped up. It practically pumped $300 in just 3 days, 3 to 4 days. And which is why something like Bitcoin, if Bitcoin wants to pump, $40,000, let's say, over the span of 2 months, it's going to do that, right? Bitcoin wants to pump $60,000 over a span of 2 months, is going to do that, right? And even if we did shoot up 60,000, that would be 140K. Remember, we were down here, beginning of November, we were roughly below 70K. Just, what, a month and a half later, we hit 107,000. So we practically, doubled almost. Right, we went up 80% in a month and a half. So remember, when the markets move, they move quick, okay? They move quick, and that is why it is so exciting. Obviously, it's going to move very quick to the downside when bear season comes around, but that is something we are going to be discussing in the future. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, it is looking pretty solid, pretty excited. Maybe some little pullbacks in the short term, but overall, I am super, super bullish. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.